breathe on my own when Luna Park became my home. Inside a tent of filtered air, I didn't mind while people stared. Incubator doctor, help me now to breathe. Underneath the heaters, give me all I need. Just another sideshow freak. Step right up and take a peek. Safe inside my crystal palace, the looking glass is missing Alice. Incubator doctor, help me now to breathe. Underneath the heater, give me all I need. While I weep, never let me fall too deep. Flower grows, every baby like a rose. Above our heads a cyclone roars, while Johnny Fox swallows swords. Incubator doctor, help me now to breathe. Underneath the heaters, give me all I need. Set on repeat. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, it's the same old line. I've given it out, but now I'm taking mine. Oh, everyone's got something that they're hiding from. Everyone's got something that they're dying from. Everyone's got someone they can't trust enough. Oh, everyone's got something that they're hiding from. Oh, oh, oh. She says her man rolled out.
It's just like that. Johnny Goudie, everybody, right there. I am Jeff Plankenhorn, Welcome to 20 Question Tuesdays. And we're here pretty much every Tuesday. For those of you who don't know how this all came about, it's pretty cool. Early on in the pandemic, I turned on the camera and just went live on Facebook and started a little workshop and started asking questions. And all sorts of questions came in from everybody from all over the place about guitar and about songwriting and about what it's like to be on the road and what it's like to not be on the road anymore. And it was really cool. So I started doing it every week. Shortly after I started, Sheila Steele from Austin Music TV came to me and said, "Hey, I'd love to put this on our cable channel, Austin Music TV, which we are live on right now." And I said, "Wow, that's really cool. I would love to do that." So then I got this program and it said, "Hey, do you want to invite a guest?" And I was like, well, that's got to be infinitely more interesting than just me every week. So I started inviting guests. And I think my first guest was Michael O'Connor, and then it was Jamie Harris, and then Bill Kirchen, and then Ruthie Foster, and we've had Ray Wiley and John D. Graham and Mobley, and every week it's been really, really, really fun for me and good for my soul to bring people together and talk about music, and we talk about anything. These are your questions. That's my favorite part of this whole thing, is that you guys just give me the questions online at the various platforms, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook, and then all of a sudden I've got these really interesting questions to ask my guests. A little bit of housekeeping. There's a resentment show right after Christmas on Sunday, the 27th, so those are really, really fun. Also, I've got my Christmas show tonight. Those of you who don't know, I am a recovering Scrooge. And I used to be a pretty big Scrooge, but I'm married into this beautiful Canadian family, and I have a lot of fun in the holidays now. And well, I got lots of great Christmas songs for you tonight, and we're gonna have some fun. So that's at 8 p.m. Central. Without further ado, is that how you say it? It doesn't matter. I'm bringing in Johnny right now.
Hello.
You're laughing at me already. We haven't even started. This is going to be a fun show.
I get confused between adieu and adieu. One of them's French and one of them's Shakespearean from a thing.
Yeah. Are you a fan of the Bard? I'm kind of a closet fan of the Bard and Shakespeare, that is.
Oh, yeah, no.
No? Oh man, you ought to dig it, man. It's I'm a total nerd. Like I'll just like read Shakespeare out of like the complete works just to be a dork. Like I dig it. I dig it for sure.
I should get back into it. It always seemed laborious to read to me when I was a kid.
You know what's funny, man? It is at first, but like once you get back in that vibe and you remember from high school what it was like it's kind of like a bike riding situation where as soon as you get going with it for a minute, you're like, oh, I get it. Johnny is much.
You've obviously never seen me. You've obviously never seen me ride a bike.
You know, of all the things, we've known each other for a bit, you and I, Johnny.
Yeah.
But I will say, I have not seen you ride a bike. Have you ever seen me ride a unicycle?
No. Have you? Please tell me you don't ride a unicycle.
Not anymore.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you, man. I have something against unicyclists, and
really?
also
I want to know about this.
Yes, I have something against people that ride unicycles. For some reason, it seems like they're showing off when they're just riding down the bike path, you know? There's a couple of them at that bike path on Lady Bird Lake.
Yeah, there is
terrible
a problem.
People, I'm sure.
Unicyclists are often like really, like you really had to ride it here, you know? Like, why did you ride it on the crowd? Why did you ride it at like Barton Springs and Lamar?
Yeah,
why was
exactly?
Because you were on the way to the park, I guess.
No. Yeah.
Maybe.
Those guys and the people that, I guess this isn't happening at the malls, but at Christmas time, there are these kiosks where guys have drones and they're kind of flying them around, but they also have the same level of smugness as a person riding a unicycle, which I find offensive.
Yeah,
sorry, I don't want to ruin your show.
No. We're gonna alienate a lot of people by the end of this. That's part of the job. I know you know that. So those who don't know Johnny, so I first met Johnny Goudie, and I was playing with a guy named Bob Schneidweather, and we were in Houston, and you were opening up with your band. And I just like, I kind of gushed after the show. Before we went on, I'm sure you don't remember, but I kind of gushed. I gushed about your guitar playing and about like, oh man, like this is a rock band that I haven't seen in a while. And it just felt great. Like all of the elements of what rock should be was just freaking fantastic. And so then I became an instant fan. Then I found out later about your work with Skyrocket and having like this long time superstar, should we say cover band?
Yeah, I
Pretty
mean,
much, pretty
yeah,
much. And then
party band.
yeah, party band. But then on to that, you know, we'll be talking a little bit about the Austin Music Foundation and your work with them, and we'll also talk about your podcast, which has had its 1,000th episode recently.
Yeah, man. Last week.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? You were on very early on, weren't you? On in like the first year.
I've been on twice, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It was fairly early for sure. It was fairly early, but I didn't put out my first record where I wanted to do a solo thing really until like 2016, and I'm pretty sure you got started
Yeah.
before that.
2011. Yeah.
Yeah. So no. It was more like, but hey, man, with 1,000 people, you're gonna, you know, it's gonna jumble together a little bit. But I have had a great time both time I was on. Oh, Dan Jason agrees about the unicyclists. Thank you for putting that in
Thank
there.
you, Dan Jason.
Yes, we agree. We've got some great questions already, and I'm just
All
gonna
right.
jump into them because
Let's
that's
do
that is the super fun part of it. I like Brady Woodall's question. Brady, I'm gonna ask yours first, not because it's the latest one. I just like it. I think it's a good jumping off point. From both of you, as songwriters, what songs, when you hear, do you wish you wrote? Now, I'll go first, and I'll just say real quick that one time when I was playing with Brandon Temple, I was lucky enough to have Brandon Temple play shows for me sometimes. And, you know, when you get cats like Brandon and Yogi in the band, you're just kind of like, ah, and you hope you rise to their level. You know, that's what happens when you get cats like that playing your music. And we were just getting to know each other, and he said, hey, man, you know how he does, right? He's like, hey, man, I'm curious. We were like after the show in the parking lot to Saxon. He said, what albums do you wish you made? And I said, oh, man, that's pretty easy. He said, really? I said, yeah. I said, I wish I made Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, A Love Supreme by John Coltrane, and Axis Bold as Love as Jimi Hendrix. He goes, oh, cool. I could dig two of those big time, you know?
Yeah.
Like he digs all of them, but he was really into two. And so it's a little easier for me to answer the question of what album than what song. It's kind of like saying pick your favorite trumpet player. That's kind of hard. What song do I wish I wrote? I will say I saw a documentary last night on the song Hurt by Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
27 minutes of wow, this is super interesting. And I dig it because he wouldn't tell too much about the song because he wanted people to get into it. There's a lot of songs I wish I wrote, not just financially.
Yeah, there's a lot.
What's one that comes to mind? It could be anything too.
Man, I know. What is a song I wish I wrote? Well, my favorite song is Love My Way by the Psychedelic Furs, and I totally wish I wrote that song. Yeah.
Dig. Yeah.
I wish I wrote that song.
Maybe we could get Danielle, who's here. Thank you, Lady D, for being here and always kind of spreading. People will put like things that we're talking about in the comments.
Oh, right.
People
Yeah.
go back later and they'll listen to it. I'm like, oh, that is so cool because we kind of bring people together. So maybe she could put that in.
I actually did one of Elizabeth McQueen, This Song podcast about that because it's my favorite song.
Really? Okay, so even better. It'd be great to just like hear your whole story on that song. What were some of the things that you spoke of just in a microcosm?
Well, it came out at a time like when I very first started playing in a band and stuff, and there's something I don't know, man. There's something about it that's dark, you know, and that it has this like half step 2-chord change in the verses that's just real eerie, but then it has this lift in this chorus, and the actual lyrics are kind of like these it's a little abstract, kind of like, you know, the hubcap diamond star halo or yellow matter mustard, you know, that kind of like lyric where you're just
Yeah.
painting with words in like a
Yeah.
Jackson Pollock way.
Well, they
Like
almost sound more than they mean.
right. Yeah.
So you're enjoying like the way the sounds feel, like even when you're singing along,
Yeah.
not even know, you know,
Yeah.
what does that mean? It doesn't really matter because I get it.
Yeah. And from the first moment I heard it, I knew that that was like my song.
Mm.
I wish I wrote "I Want You to Want Me" by Cheap Trick really badly.
Oh man, what a great choice that is too.
Yeah.
I just saw a Nielsen picture. Wait, was the guitar player Nielsen?
Yeah. Rick Nielsen. Yeah.
Yeah, and with his, I just saw it yesterday. Come across, I don't know, one of the socials with that big checkered 5-neck guitar. How
Yeah.
does he get to the bottom one, the fretless on? And
He
why would you put the fretless is on the bottom, which is like the hardest one to keep in tune? I think the guy's just
if
he's
if you
crazy.
Yeah, I think it's like a unicycle, but he's not riding it the whole time. He only brings it out for one song. He only brings it
Yeah,
out for one song. But
yeah.
what he does when he brings it out is he like does a little something on each one,
On
and
each
then
one.
when you see him when he comes out with it, I mean, it's obviously impossible to play and ridiculous,
Yeah.
but
Feel free
hilarious
someone
that
to
someone
put a
would do that.
picture. Feel free to put a picture of Rick Nielsen and his 5-neck
5-neck
guitar in
guitar.
there as well, if you want. Because then recently my wife asked, you know, my wife's not a musician, and but man, she has cool taste in music and always hips me to stuff. And she asked me, she's like, "What's the deal with double necks?" She's like, "Is that really like?" Is it necessary? And I was like, you know, there are a few people, you know, where it made sense to have it for a live show and for a song because they really did switch. You
Yeah,
know, whether it's
Stairway to
a
Heaven.
Zeppelin. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, you
You
can't
know?
really play that song as one guitar player without both of them.
Yeah. Now at the same time, is it practical? Do you really? Not at all.
No,
No
but they're
way.
so cool.
Oop, we got our friend Miles Zuniga from Fastball and the Resentments here, and he says, yeah, but it also has the line, you can never win or lose if you
If
don't
you
run the
don't run the
race.
race, that's right, baby. I love
I
you,
love
Miles
it.
Zuniga. Is he back from outer space?
I think he's back from the Pacific Northwest. He was close to me, but he never made it across behind the maple curtain where I am right now. Um, Thank you. Thank you. I think Bruce Hughes actually trademarked that. Okay, so we got a couple of questions, though.
All
Here's
right.
another one. Johnny, you do a ton of stuff. Do you ever, this is from Brian Wolf, do you ever struggle how to identify yourself? Podcaster versus songwriter versus AMF consultant versus other stuff, or does it kind of all blend together to you?
It all kind of blends together. I mean, it's all kind of, it, it it's funny because when you're younger, you don't think you can do anything else except the
Right.
one thing that you're doing with your one band, and like, even just like anything outside of that would be a complete devastation to what you're trying to do. But then you realize you can still just do stuff a little more, and it's more interesting. Yeah, Brian Wolf. I like Brian Wolf. He's a great guy. It's just all kind of one thing to me, depending on what I'm doing. That's what my focus is.
I'm
I mean, I'm
also,
still
right,
identify as a musician and a
right,
songwriter. Like that's
right.
that's who I am, and I do a lot of other stuff, but it's because I'm a songwriter and a musician.
Right.
So
I've
yeah,
had a lot of people ask me recently, you know, like management or anybody who's involved with the team or whatever. They're like, well, do you want to put podcaster on your thing now? And I'm like, there's 32 people watching right now. like it's very modest, and I'm super super happy about it. And like, but yeah, you kind of you start with like writing songs and playing rock and wanting to do it, but then you venture out into these other things and you go, wow, these actually kind of help in a way.
yeah.
Like, tell me a little bit, because this asks begs to go for a question like maybe a way that was not English, by the way.
That was fantastic, though.
Yeah,
You
it
tell you
was
have a great talk show.
wonderful jumble of words. how has the podcast kind of influenced your music, and how has the Austin Music Foundation? You know, both of them have definitely influenced what you do.
Totally. You know, when I went and did that record with Scrappy, you were playing those songs from there.
In
Jane
the
Ellen
intro.
Bryant and I became pals, and she sang on that with Jamie Harris. I met Jamie Harris because of the podcast, because she knew me from the podcast, and then she was into the podcast, and we became friends. And then I met and became friends with Jane through the artist development program at Austin Music Foundation, and also Mary Claire Glazer. Like, yeah, I ended up making music with people from it, and also like playing on their stuff. I played on that new William Harris Graham song that's out now.
Nice.
Through that, so yeah,
So
the one thing,
connections.
yeah, connections, and I mean, I ended up at the whole Kimmy Rhodes experience, and like playing on that record, Cowgirl Boudoir, and meeting Gabe and getting to know him is all because of the podcast. Like, I met her doing a podcast with her, and then she was like, "Oh, you're a songwriter? Send me some tunes." So I sent them to her.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Most of us, if you're a songwriter out there and someone says, "Send me some tunes," do it.
Oh yeah, totally, send them some
Just
tunes.
do it.
Yeah.
Do it, because the worst that can happen is meh. That's
Yeah.
it. That's the absolute worst that can happen. And the thing is, most of us don't follow through. And I know that my time kind of before I got my act together, you know, I was asked for a really long time to you're laughing because I didn't get my act together at all.
No,
That's
no,
why.
no. I'm
I
just
see
laughing
you smile.
because no,
You remember
no.
that guy.
I do remember that guy,
You
but I
remember
really
that
liked
guy.
him too.
I know, we were still
I
friends.
didn't depend on you for anything though, so I
No.
don't. You know what I'm saying?
No, there's a
I do
few
understand.
people. There are a few people left from the dark days, but
The dark days.
the dark days of Plankenhorn. No, but well, long story short, making connections and stuff like that, you know, whether it's somebody like Kimmy, you know, you end up songwriting with them. I really, really think. I was gonna say, Resentments asked me to sit in for a long time, and I was way too nervous to go down there. And then
I
I
get
went
nervous
down
about that.
you know, and I still get nervous playing with those guys. I've been playing with them for like 8 years now, almost 10, you know. Tom Lamb makes a little bit of a comment right now. I'm blown away at the amount of music Johnny consumes for the podcast. It takes me so long to digest new stuff. And I'm right
Yeah.
there. Tips
Yeah.
for being a better music listener. I would just, I know you're probably asking Johnny. Sometimes people ask me too, because that's how this thing started. I'll just say quickly, listen like a child. Is
Yeah.
the best thing. The absolute best thing to do for listening is to completely take out the, why did he use a diminished seven
Right.
chord there?
Exactly. Yeah.
Get rid of that. Think about it, what it was like to lay in front of the speaker as a kid and go, whoa. That's how I love to listen personally. Like, what's the old Picasso quote? It took my whole life to learn how to draw like a child again. That's what I'm always going for when I'm listening to music. But do you have tips for being a better music listener? Because you do listen to quite a bit.
I do. There's no tips. You just either want to listen to it or you don't. I mean, really, I don't know what kind of tips I could give you.
Yeah.
Tom Lamb it has a band called Neutral and Paul, or a project called Neutral and Paul that's really good. And he was just on the podcast. He made a great record.
I believe that another thing that we do, Tom, that is okay. Everybody kind of puts their stuff up in the comments here. Feel free to blow your band up right now, man. Just stick it in the comments right now. Exactly what Johnny mentioned. I want everybody.
He's my guest on the podcast today.
You're kidding.
One of them, yeah.
Well, then
Ben
perfect.
Buck is the other one. You know Ben Buck?
I do.
You know Ben Buck?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always great people on the podcast. Okay, so let's get to some other questions because we've got tons.
Get these
Okay,
questions.
are we ready for a little bit of humor?
Yeah.
We haven't been giggling enough.
Okay. I've been giggling the whole time.
Scrappy Judd Newcomb. My wife says my sarcasm does not come off as sarcasm. I think she's right. Scrappy Judd Newcomb, who produced your record and mine, and that we've worked with for years and years and years. He said, "I really want you to ask, is it true you once jammed with Lars Ulrich of Metallica?"
Yes. More than
And
once.
tell me about this. He's the
Well,
drummer. He's the drummer
he's
for
the
those who
drummer.
don't know.
And those of you that know my music can imagine it was kind of a weird square circle fit thing. And that's the best way to put it. What did you ask me? What was it
It
like
was a
or
square
why did this
peg.
happen?
Well, first, I mean, he just said, "Is it true you once
It is
jammed?"
true.
But
Very
you're saying
true.
twice.
Oh yeah.
Why
More,
don't we say
more
how
than
it happened?
once. Okay.
Okay.
I was in a band called Goudie, and he signed us to his label. He had a label for a short period of time.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's real funny because we made a record and we threw it away, and then it kind of seemed like we were going to be dropped. And then Lars Ulrich invited me and our guitar player out for like a weekend to his house to stay with him. And we did. And that was where we first jammed. It was fun. It was the three of
The
us.
house.
Yeah. I think I played bass that time because it was, I can't remember what I played that time. But yeah, it is weird, like looking over and it's him from the TV. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize that we get that way too. Like,
yeah,
because we play our little stages in Austin, or if we're lucky, we get on a tour opening up for somebody big, or whether it's the Packed Saxon or the Parish or it's Stubbs or whatever,
whatever
they
it
get
is.
kind of this. They see us in the grocery store, they're like, "Ugh," and it's like, no, man, I'm, whatever. But we get that way absolutely around people. Who is another person that like I freak out a little bit around Willie, even though I'm not a big country guy, and I definitely freak out if I get anywhere near Stevie Wonder. Freak out, like
I've
very
never even been
uncomfortable.
near Stevie Wonder. I would
Uncomfortable. But I also with some people who are kind of on our deal. Like I used to be that way with Scrappy a little bit, and was definitely that way with Patty Griffin every time I've met her. I don't know why.
I
She's
was
so
like
good.
that with Brandon Temple
Ah,
for so long. It's
Understandable.
unbelievable. Totally
It's
not like that
understandable.
anymore. And the thing is I didn't ever realize he's just quiet.
Oh, I know.
He doesn't know you. He just is quiet. But I just took it as like, oh, this guy just does not want me to be here. But it turns out,
which is
lovely
definitely
human
not
being.
the case, right? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
incredible human being, quiet, reserved, really kind of keeps focus too when he's got a gig. There's a lot of focus.
Yeah.
Like he's a cat that if he learns your stuff and he comes and he plays a gig for you. I was lucky to have him play with me for years. But if he was coming in cold, man, I would just watch him show up with no charts, no cues, no nothing, and just know your gig cold. Just know it,
Yeah.
And that can be intimidating as well.
I think the first time I ever played with him was with you. Like when you guys had the thing on when you had the thing on Tuesdays.
The Apostles of Manchac.
Yeah, and it was you, him, and
Manchaca.
Yogi, and we played a couple of my tunes.
We did, and we actually played a couple that were on the record. And of course we played a couple of fan favorites too, like Magazine and other stuff. But it was a blast. That was the first time you got to play with him.
Yeah, and ever since then I mellowed out around it. But that's another guy. When you were just talking about don't be scared to send someone your music even when they ask you to. Sometimes it's not just out of laziness or like
Fear,
slackerdom or whatever. It's sometimes it's out of fear. Like he's always like, oh hey man, you want me to play on some stuff, man? Give me a call. And I'm always like, I'll be like, oh, I got this song that would be great for him. But then I'm scared he's gonna hear the song and be like, I hate you. But he would never do that.
No,
yeah.
And the thing is too, Brandon has this this thing that I always really, really love. He's kind of a warrior.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like he attacks the drums. I mean it like he will attack the music, even if it's a ballad, as he's going to bring as much creativity as he possibly can into a song.
Yeah.
And so if you bring him something and it's 4 on the floor, he's going to play it. I remember being in the studio with him and doing a song with, here's a nice name drop, Ruthie. And I said, it kind of feels like a tumbling dice kind of thing to me. And all of a sudden he just like switched his sticks and the way he was playing to just kind of give a Charlie Watts feel to it.
Yeah.
But didn't stop being Brandon at all, for a second. And I never had to say anything else. I mean, it was just like, that was it. And so
Yeah.
that can be for sure intimidating.
I,
But
I'm sorry to interrupt. I got to
no.
see, I hosted a thing in Smithville on Labor Day weekend, like very few people kind of thing. And it was Bobby Sparks
Oh yeah.
and dudes from his band and Brandon Temple and James Robinson. And
Yeah. What a
it was
voice.
pretty unfucking believable. Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's cable. We try not to swear until later, but I don't think anybody's going to worry about that. Um, let's take another curveball because I like these
Okay.
curveballs. Dan Jason, who we all know has this wonderful YouTube channel, and
Fantastic YouTube channel.
it's pretty incredible. He goes around and he kind of videos people around town, just off of from wherever he's sitting. But the sound quality is usually great, and he usually gets as much of it as he can with one little still camera.
He really does.
And he puts out music there for everybody. And he has this thing. It's called Dan View ViewTube. But Dan has a great question. That's definitely, and I've talked about this a lot on here before, so I'll give this one completely to you. How has COVID affected finances, tips, and like, are you doing okay personally with like tips, gigs, unemployment, freelancing? Like, how have you kind of, what's that?
No. Like with the 19 jobs I have.
I mean, really, right? Because a lot of us have become
Yeah.
that. Like, myself being like, well, I never get to teach when I'm on the road, and I'm always on the road. So now I'm home. I'm like, yeah, I'll do
Right.
some lessons, and I love teaching lessons and hipping people to whether it's songwriting or whether it's guitar or slide or whatever.
Yeah.
And then workshops, and then things like this, and then live streams. But for you, how is COVID kind of
Well, it's definitely taken, like, in all openness, my main income was playing with Skyrocket and playing shows and stuff,
which I was
which
going to put up here too.
ended abruptly. And
That one.
unfortunately, we had gigs that had deposits on them. Since we're a cover band, we play private shows, and so they're either going to get postponed and we'll get half the money when we do them eventually, or they'll cancel and we will get that money anyway. So there
Yeah.
was a period of a couple of months of really kind of being able to figure out what I was going to do in a couple months. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I started trying out the live stream things of my own and stuff like that, and just kind of like did as much as I possibly could,
Yeah.
basically.
And do you find, like, I've found that they've gone up and down, but the thing that I'm kind of cool with is I have people who count on me being there every week. So it's kind
Right.
of like I have certain friends who are like, "Man, you do it too much. You're not going to make enough money." And I'm like, there's people out there like that are just like, "Oh, but I miss it if you're not there." Well, then I'm going to do it. And I'm kind of okay with that. It's not really taking anything out of me to click on the camera for an hour and play some songs for some people who are stuck at home.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, during COVID, that's given me the chance to wear pants at least for an hour a day or an hour a week doing the live streams. I put on
yes.
some pants. I will say that the very first one I did with someone else.
Mm.
And I don't know if it's like we had never done anything like that before, but like the take on that show was just kind of like, oh, why have I been driving around places? And like, what
I
all
know.
I had to do was
Yeah,
put on pants
early
and go in
on,
the studio. Yeah, early on, it was
we
like
made
this.
so much money online when we started.
Look, when we say so much money, we're not talking
Yeah. We're
like
talking tens of dollars, not
Yeah,
thousands.
we're talking like we're like, oh wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was so much money for us. But it was like, well, why have I been driving around?
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
have I
Well,
been
and I remember Bill Kirchen talking about it. He's like, "I'm never leaving my living room." And but I think that there will be a balance when we get done, because I will want to play for my people in Japan and my people in Europe and my people in Texas when I'm in BC. So I guess I can't imagine not going on once a week to do it, or whatever it is, once a week, once a month, whatever. But there'll be like a new balance,
Right.
depending on once we're all healthy and we're back.
I,
Someone asked, "Is this live?" The answer is yes. This is
yeah.
live right now. You can go
You,
back and watch it, but we are live. That's why we haven't edited out all of the.
well, one of the things I was going to say about that too was that that was something that I discovered after I started doing it. Was like, oh yeah, I spent all this time touring my whole life. And I do have people that haven't seen me play in years because I haven't gone to St. Louis or something. You know what I mean?
And they want to hear a song, man.
And they want to hear a song,
you
man.
play it live.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not too terribly worried about. I mean, we want to make it look as good as we can.
Sure.
But for crying out loud, if 1 week I'm on the road and my Tuesday night thing happens and it happens to be from a hotel room, they're just gonna think that's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
He still felt like playing for us, and
Right.
I think that's one of the good things coming out of
I
this.
mean, are there ones that you really like? I got addicted to the Miles one on Tuesdays, and also there was one that came on. It's like a primetime TV. Like I had
Yeah.
this great Tuesday. Like it started with Miles, and my friend Nathan Harlan had one. So I had like a
So you were just skipping me every time.
I'm sorry.
You're
I
in so much trouble right now
I
because I'm
know.
right after Miles.
You're
I'm
after
not on.
Miles.
And I'm not on your. I bet you anything, I'm not on your playlist either. So I'm just gonna have to just put you
What
down,
playlist?
man.
You weren't on my
I'm just
show
kidding.
this year.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah, you had to be on the show in the last 100 episodes. No, but after we
Wait.
talked about the playlist earlier, hey, I told you what I'm doing, right?
I'm
Like
so
I'm
kidding.
like I'm at the beach with my family for Christmas.
Oh, I
We're
know. Can you turn the
quarantining
camera
together.
around for everybody? Because we're really jealous. Can you show
Yeah,
a little?
it's pretty nice, but I'm not at our
Oh,
house.
come
I
on.
get the bad reception, so I kind of found a beach house where I got good reception, and I'm just kind of hanging out on their porch underneath the
I'm
house.
still believing that this is not. Yeah, you don't know these people at all,
No, look,
and
there's nobody. Like this is an empty house here. I'll show you. There's no one. It's like there's nobody here, and it's all like closed off.
Oh, I love you, man.
I'm literally interview squatting.
No, it's good. It's good. Hey, I did think of a couple that I love. And Tom, you're right. I really, really love Matt the Electrician's show. That's always a really good one. I love Madam Radar's show. They do a
Oh
really,
yeah.
really great show. I got a buddy named Chris Buhalis from Michigan. I really dig his show a lot. I wish he played his own music more. He plays a lot of covers that people love. But Madam Radar in the Radar Room is a really, really, really great show. They do it. They make a show out of it, and it's really fun and kind of you're involved. Betty Sue's is really interesting too because she does that Nobody's Happy Hour, which was
Well,
supposed to be
also
a live show, and she turned that into a Zoom meeting type one.
right. The Bonnie Whitmore one is still good.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you
We've
have you
got.
done one of her gallery shows with
I
her?
have not done a virtual. I've only done them in the gallery, but I haven't done
Okay.
one virtual since COVID. Yeah,
Oh,
Kelly, put it in there. Put it in there so everybody has it in the thing.
uh, John D. Graham and William Harris Graham when they were doing that stuff in the afternoon. That was
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah. Hey,
Um,
Kelly Green from Madam Radar has a question for you.
what? I love Kelly
Yes.
Green from Adam Radar.
Yep. Badass guitar player, writing some really, really cool new songs of her own right now,
Nice.
and Madam Radar has just really turned into this really, really awesome thing. So, but her question is, what's the weirdest thing a band has done on a podcast? And I think that since we're on cable, you could probably say it because I'm imagining like the
Well,
weirdest thing someone did during a podcast.
the weirdest?
Yeah, not like, I mean, I like that she asked, what's the weirdest thing a
I
band has
do. I
done?
like it too.
Right?
I'm trying to
We can
think of.
take a minute to think about it. And while
Okay,
you do that,
yeah.
I'm going to put your captions back up with the other stuff
Who is
too.
the?
So this is
Oh,
the podcast.
Blackheart Saints. Like I don't. It. Like some podcasts, people drink through them. It's part of the. It's part of the show. You know what I mean?
Like get wasted? Oh, I would
Right.
have loved that.
And I did. I got wasted with
You got wasted. I'd love to see that
Blackheart
again.
Saints on my podcast.
Okay.
What ends up happening is I talk real loud and interrupt constantly. That's what I noticed.
See now
The other thing was,
this format makes you interrupt, and I usually apologize in advance, but we're close enough pals that I
we're
knew I
friends.
didn't
Yeah, I
need
don't
to.
mind.
I didn't need to apologize to you in advance because
We're in the
whatever.
game, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
But
Calliope musicals, just all of them came one time, and that was just weird in itself.
How many?
I think it might have been like 7 or 8. I mean, people were just kind of like yelling stuff from the other room and stuff.
It's like,
here's one of the weirdest things that's ever happened on my podcast. I found out that Cody from Madame Radar was into magic and called himself the Great Codini. So that was weird.
Yeah.
Also, Rob Franco, he's an actor and like
it sounds
muscle
familiar.
guy.
I might know Rob, yeah.
Wears a lot of essential oils.
Oh, okay, sure.
He told me about fighting a monkey
chest
while he was
shaved?
trying. I would venture to
Probably. We're gonna guess his chest is shaved.
He does look real. Like he look. I mean, nothing
He
against
pulls it
us,
off.
right? We're not guys that should be out on the beach right now. Like
I don't know why you would say that. This doesn't just happen. I don't know why you would say
these
that.
things.
Yeah.
He told me about fighting a monkey once when he was painting a building on an animal sanctuary. And it's a hilarious story.
I guess in 1,000 shows you're gonna get one fight a monkey.
Also, there was this one guy. There was a guy that told me he had sold door-to-door vacuum cleaners, and so I had him try and sell me a vacuum cleaner on the show because I'd never met anybody that did that in my life.
I would do the same. If somebody said, I'd say, "What's your pitch?"
Yeah,
Give it to me.
exactly. How do you sell a vacuum cleaner to a stranger at their house?
Yeah. Well, people also don't necessarily realize that skills that can come in handy once you become a songwriter, that might be a good thing for a pitch. If you want to get into that club, you better know how to sell it.
Yeah.
You got to know how to sell yourself, which is an
True.
awkward thing for a singer-songwriter.
Songwriter.
Thank you. I patented that, by the way.
That is fantastic.
That's who we are. Because, I mean, what do we get paid to do? We go up on stage and we whine about our problems. It's not true. It's not true at all. Let's go for another great question. This question is, how did your parents meet? And whoever this is, they had a real understanding already, so they must think there's a great story there, because in this question they put, how did your parents meet? Hippie chick meets Cuban refugee. Gotta be a great story there. Gotta be a great story there.
Well, they were both Cuban refugees. And I think they actually met in Cuba.
Okay.
They knew each other before they were boyfriend and girlfriend. Like they met in the social circles of Cuba.
So when did they come?
They came in 1959, 1960, whenever Castro took over.
Right.
My dad's family, I don't know when they came in relation to when my mom's family came, but they all pretty much came around the same time. Yeah. And so they had met there, and then I think my mom and dad went to high school together in Miami.
Is it appropriate to ask a question like, are they still with us? Because
my mom is not.
Yeah.
My mom is not, but my dad is.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not talking to me. He's in an anti-me zone due to the political complications.
Me it's about politics.
It is. He couldn't take it.
I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well,
I know, man.
Like, since it's over, like, can we
get back to this now? Or can we start moving on a little bit? But
I feel like he might be one of those cats. Yeah. I think he needs some time to decompress, but yeah. So they. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've had some surprising conversations with people who have, I wouldn't say come around, but I would say are willing to talk.
Right.
And as easy as it is to kind of lump people in a bunch of deplorables, which feels easy, I'm trying really, really hard not to do that, especially because I have so much loathe for Democrats being, weak and ineffectual.
Right.
But
let me phrase this to you so you understand. I'm I'm not talking to him because of his political
Of
beliefs.
course,
He
yeah.
is not talking to me because of
Right,
mine. Okay.
right. No, I gotcha. Okay, so go back to parentals.
So my parentals, then they met there in Miami and they fell in love, and
Mm,
they had me. It was a pretty fast thing. Like, they were young
mm.
parents and they weren't married that long.
Yeah,
They
you were a
were,
gleam in the eye,
different
but
kinds
then
of
it
people.
happened pretty fast.
Flash in the pan, baby.
Um,
um,
go ahead.
no, yeah. I mean, that's weird. No one ever asked me about my parents together. I don't even know how to answer, because they were never together. Like, in my mind, like, I think they divorced when I was like a year and a half old or something. So in my mind, like, they were together like 6 times in my life.
Yeah. My parents divorced when I was very young too, and I didn't talk to my dad for like 20 years, and it was crazy, man. He came up to me at a gig.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was playing a solo gig in West Virginia in front of a, I don't know, 50, 100-person crowd. And he walked up to the table, at the merch table. And I was like, I think I know you,
Wow.
But we've since, kind of healed some old wounds. And I'll tell you what, and we are as different as the day is long. But it is creepy how we kind of have the same laugh and look a lot alike. So,
Yeah.
but I'm glad to not have that bad icky feeling anymore. So
Yeah.
it can
Well, we'll see
happen.
what happens.
Doesn't always happen, but it can.
Right.
Um, Here's another nice little curveball, which I
Okay.
like. Kate Howard. I would love to hear some stories. We'll just go a story if you want.
Okay.
From when you were in a band with Casey Crowley.
Liars and Saints.
Mm-hmm.
What are some good stories about that? We had a really good time playing together, man. That was we really, I knew Casey for a long time before we did that band. And I loved writing with Casey, and I loved
Who else
writing
was
with
in the band?
Jeremy. It was me and Jeremy Nail and Casey Crowley.
Wow. That's
And
a big 3 songwriter kind of personality.
yeah,
Everybody's got like a little bit of their own thing, but I can see where that would really work
yeah, it
together
really
well.
meshed well, and we sang real well together, and we had this nice harmony blend and stuff. And Joe Hummel played drums, and Pally Powell
Oh
played
man,
bass.
cool.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And I think the thing was that it was I think it is a lot. Nothing bad ever happened. It just, people had their own things as well, and I think it's just real. It wasn't like the resentments. We would rehearse and we would like try and write. You know what I mean? Like, we were trying to be
Resentments is not a band. That's why they don't break up.
right. That's why they don't break up.
We're not a band.
Eventually, like, yeah, you have a honeymoon period, and all of a sudden, like, people come see you and like, oh my God, this is the best thing you've ever done. And then, like, before long, like, you want to start playing solo shows. But there is something I wish that we would have been able to keep it as part of something that we were doing, like to keep it alive. I know we tried for like a year after, but it was real hard to kind of do it. But we did do an EP. I don't have the stories about playing with Casey and those guys. Like, we just laughed a lot when we were doing stuff, and we just
It was just an enjoyable musical experience, which is rare to say. Well, I don't really have any,
Yeah, she never yelled at me. I never yelled at her. She made me laugh a lot.
Casey is really funny. From my time at Strange Brew and hanging out with her, she was doing the booking and I was kind of consulting, I guess, if you can call it that. And we're getting some nice comments. I love the Liars and Saints songs. Wish they had recorded more. I got to tell you, though, you guys, there's 2 kind of bands that I work well in personally. And one is where I run the show, one is where I'm the freaking side man.
Me
And
too. It's
really
hard.
It's really hard. Being in a band, you have to say, like Ray Wiley says, well, even the Beatles broke up,
Yeah.
I mean, and he's right, because it's like, it becomes a family thing and you're kind of connected. And I mean, they lasted 10 years and did all that. That's it.
I know.
And,
I know. That's insane.
It is. And so we can't, I'm looking forward to that documentary that's coming out that Peter Jackson is doing too, the Get Back. That looks really good. a bunch of unreleased Beatles stuff.
Right.
Anyway, just the idea that, man, a band can come together and be really great, and people will kind of contact you and say, "Man, could you have a reunion?" And it's tough because
Yeah.
people have lives and they have so much else going on. We have such full-time jobs.
Right.
It's not I just get on and play, and then I don't do anything until the next time I get on and play.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I think that sometimes is what it seems like, because when you do spend all that time in between people seeing you doing stuff, working really hard to do it, it seems like you weren't working really hard when you get up there. You know what I mean?
Well, and it looks so
It's
much
the
fun
hard
because
work that makes it
so
look
much
easy.
fun.
Yeah.
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 What's that? What are some of the other jokes? Oh, we get paid for load in, and we get paid
Right.
for rehearsal, and we get paid for practice, and we get paid for doing the online promotion, and we get paid for dealing with meetings. We play for free.
Yeah.
I love that.
I play for
You know?
free. What I'm getting paid for is sitting in between getting there and
Right.
playing. That's
Yeah.
my least favorite experience.
Learning how to be alone is so huge
Yeah.
in what we're doing, and learning how to do something with that downtime. It's like, read some books that don't have pictures in them. That's been a new thing for me.
That's true. That's true. I feel like that's also like the place where people end up getting into drinking a lot, and like, yeah, because
Well, it feeds
Well, it's boring
depression
as shit,
and it
but at
feeds
least I'm drunk.
loneliness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to
Yeah.
do something right now. What am
Right.
I going to do? Or they take it the other route and they become a workout junkie, which
Right.
has not happened to me, strangely enough. Anyway, so yeah, I'm glad that she mentioned that, though, because some people out there obviously listen. And I'm sure they could find some stuff. They could find the EP possibly on Bandcamp.
yeah, it's
or
on
something.
Bandcamp, liarsandsaints.bandcamp.com.
Do you
But yeah,
find that-
thanks for asking about that, Kate, and I hope you're doing well.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you find, a lot of us, people will say, "What's the best way to help a musician? What's the best way to help a musician?" And I'm kind of always give them the to go of, if they're doing a show, give them a tip. If they have some merch, buy some merch. If you're at a show, do this, do that, do this, do that. But I will say that of all of the online things, I have noticed a lot of people looking towards Bandcamp because of their treatment of. They're one of the
artists.
places that treats artists with a little bit of respect, and that's a really cool thing. It's like, I need you to follow me on Spotify. I do.
Right.
I got to, because people look at it, and it's like, oh, he
Yeah.
doesn't have any streams. Well, then I don't get a gig in that town,
Right.
But I think they all work. I do like that they have these strange days where they give all of it to the artist and stuff like that. That's a
Yeah.
cool idea.
I think that's really amazing.
Really sad not to have a Skyrocket New Year's show this year.
Well, we're having a live, I know what you mean, but it's going to be a live streaming show.
Gonna do
We
a
also-
virtual.
Yes, we're going to do a virtual. Can
Great.
I say something about a show that's happening tomorrow?
Yes, please do.
Skyrocket is doing a socially distanced live stream show tomorrow
There you go, Keith.
on Wednesday, December
Hope I'm saying your name
23rd.
right.
Keeve, yeah. Keeve's a good dude, man. He's from Kansas.
Oh, right on. Welcome.
Yeah, Kansas City.
So tomorrow, what time?
8 p.m. Central Time. I've sent in a beach video.
Would you possibly would this be a good place for them to find it if they needed to, this right here?
Yep, or Skyrocket the band on YouTube
Okay, perfect.
or on Facebook or whatever.
I
yeah.
find that we have to do all the things. I have people, like, I remember before we got into this, people were like, and tell me if you feel the same way, people would be like, I was at a gig once and somebody said, "I only find out about gigs through Twitter." And I was like, Twitter? That's where
What's
people
Twitter? Yeah.
No, more so I was like, that's where people post about politics and other stuff,
Right.
But then I started getting in the mode of, nah, I'm just going to do them all.
Yeah, I mean,
because people are on all of it.
Here's what happened with Vine, okay? Because I was getting to where, like, I'm not joining any more things. I had Facebook, I had Twitter, and I had Instagram. And when Vine came along, I said,
What was Vine?
no. it was some video thing, but it died in like 6 months. And I was
Yep.
like, see, so now I'm not on any other things because I'm pretty sure they're all going away.
Yeah.
Or I hope they are in some weird old man way.
Yeah. I look forward to a day where, all the things are kind of instantly accessible to anybody who wants it.
Yeah.
And you can support artists however you want and that sort of thing. And it doesn't have to. I don't want to give money to Zuckerberg while we're doing this, although I'm going to get banned because I just said the word. But
Really?
no, I'm not.
Oh,
Well, who knows? Maybe I am. I don't.
Yeah.
Or Bezos. Bezos owns Twitch. Amazon owns Twitch. So there you go. But at the same time, I'm really, really happy to have a vehicle to get to people all over.
yeah.
That part's
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, that part is really nice. And it is nice to connect with people. And it's nice to see pictures of my nephew who lives in Miami every day. You know what I mean? Like, those things are really great. But it's also terrible.
It's exactly right. And I mean, if you use your powers for good and not for evil, you do your best to try
Right.
to do it with these things. And that's one of the things I love about doing this show, and I love about going on a podcast. Like, how did I get here?
Yes.
It's righteous, and there's a good point to it. Listen, we're getting close to the point. Well, no, we've got some time here. So any more questions, if you guys want to put them in, I'm gonna jump to a couple more that we have down here.
Okay.
Robin asked, of the folks you've interviewed, who's surprised you the most?
Oh, that's a good one because I've been surprised both ways.
Yeah, good and bad? Or
Yeah.
and what do you
Yeah.
mean by that?
Well, I'd be like, oh, I'm so excited. This is going to be amazing. And then you're like, seriously, this is it? Yeah. You know who was a great, I didn't know what to expect really because I didn't really know him. Ray Wiley Hubbard was incredibly, and again, I mean, I know there's so many shows and I do get surprised by things, but the first time that Brandon Temple was on, it was a long episode and I learned more about jazz in that 2 hours than I had learned in my whole life. So there are things like that where I didn't realize that that's what was going to happen during that thing, but that was a great surprise. And there have been people where you think they're a lot more serious or, less fun than they are, and they end up being like a lot of fun to talk to.
Yeah.
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 So
I had fun with Ray Wiley on this one because he and I have been friends for 20 years, and he's the guy who brought me to Texas.
Right.
And so when we did this show, he was kind of weirded out because I wouldn't let him answer any stock questions, and I only gave him stuff that took him to write, to a really, really weird place.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he was on kind of unstable footing, not being able to say, kind of the fun, prepared stuff. And and it was freakishly awkward and really, 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 really fun. Plus, that's the other thing is that I get out of getting questions out of the audience that's fun. Pete, go ahead.
A thing that surprised me about him too was I remember thinking like, oh, he's a lot more hip to more music than I had thought in my mind he was.
There's no doubt.
He has a huge palette.
He does. He does have a huge palette, and there's a reason we call him the Wiley Llama, and he's got that kind of thing where like, oh, I'm not going to teach you, you're the teacher, and
right.
But he's still teaching you.
Yeah, he's like a Yoda guy.
He is. He's very, very much the true cosmic cowboy. Yeah. That's got a lot to do with cowboy culture has so much to do with Eastern philosophy. If you kind of break it down and you put the two next to each other, you go, wow, there's a lot of nature. Oh, there's a lot of peace. There's a lot of quiet. There's out in here. And then that brings it into the thing. It kind of works out. Pete Owens asks, was Panjandrum the band beginning for you? Was that the beginning? Or were there earlier bands and projects?
There were earlier bands, but they weren't like that. Like that was a band, dude. Like we sold out Fitzgerald's and like it was cool. I don't listen to I can't listen to the music. It's so terrible. But
Doesn't matter though, does it? It's a moment in time.
in my mind, the feelings that I had then, yeah, it was Pangendrum was the first like real band I had. You know, we had T-shirts, had a mailing list.
Right.
I had a couple before that. You know, I had one.
Mailing lists. Do you remember the mailing lists, like
Dude,
when we did postcards and stuff?
I,
That kind of thing.
Pangendrum, our whole thing cost $750 every month to send something. And then if you got a gig that's like, hey, do you guys want to play on Friday? There's no way you can get the word out.
You couldn't tell anybody.
You're like calling your friends and shit. Yeah.
Which is a better way to get people to gigs anyway, most of the time.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And flyering the town, you know, which has gone the way of the dodo, but what a shame because it works still.
Yeah. But that's the first band I made a record with and stuff. I mean, I was in a band with Mark Hallman and like Michael Ramos when I was like 16, but it was their band. It wasn't my vehicle, and I was just kind of like the kid that was there. And then I had this band. Oh, so much. Before Pangendrum, I had this band called Stranger with Kevin Lovejoy, who had just graduated high school, and his brother Chris Lovejoy, who was home for the summer, and it was like a summer band. That was a lot of fun. But yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah. But Pangendrum was my first real band. Yeah.
I like that. Guy asks, has Skyrocket ever considered incorporating some of the original solo material of band members? I bet you get asked this a lot because Trish Murphy and other people. Who else is in the band?
Benjamin from Real Heroes and the guys from the Real Heroes. Yeah, man. I mean, people in Austin ask us that. Our fans at our shows don't want to hear us. You know what I mean? The people that aren't at all of our shows don't like. We did do it. We did a thing at Mucky Duck once, and you know,
it was
when you're playing like Dancing Queen and like Night Fever and like,
then all of a sudden you bring in one of your solo tunes.
It's like
people are like, "What is this?" Like,
then you want to hear. Want to hear one of my song whiner gems? That's exactly you know.
Dude,
yeah,
exactly. Isn't it? I mean, it is unfortunate that's what happens. It's like if we put our songs next to, you know, a vast 10 to 20 year pantheon of all these songs that we know are going to make people get up and dance. It's just the fact that they don't know every word and every beat when it comes. It's not that the music doesn't hit them.
It's not just that. And I've been studying this, being in Skyrocket for the last 20 years or however, almost 20 years. It's not that. It's not that they know that. It's like they didn't fall in love to like back of a magazine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they fell in love to I Want You to Want Me. And that's what they want to hear, man. When they hear that song, this rush of feelings from that time of their life, whatever time it was, it's not just that they know the song. It's way, way like deeper and more intense and emotional than that. Like you're bringing out stuff of like, you know,
memories.
The first time. Yeah, memories, magical things that you were experiencing. And this was the sound of it.
We're going to go off air in 1 minute so I'm going to say thank you real quick to Austin Music TV and Sheila Steele. I will put this up one more time just because it's the holidays. If you want to help out your local underemployed musicians, then you can go here, and I always split the tips with my guests, so we thank you for that. But I really, really love having Austin Music TV. We're going to stay online, finish up the questions that we have, and talk to people for just a couple more minutes. But my sincere thanks to you, Johnny Goudie of the How Did I Get Here podcast, Skyrocket the band, Austin Music Foundation, and you can go right here as well. Here's the information. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, buddy.
And we're about to go off. And I didn't time it perfectly, but you know, it's that little touch of unprofessionalism that makes me so lovable.
I like that we're about to go off because it's just going to go like we're just going to go straight into it. And let me tell you another thing about unicycles.
By the way, and now we're off. That's perfect. And let me tell you about unicycles. Okay, so now that we are off, and we're really, really grateful for them, but we can do some calls to action, and I really, really appreciate you coming on and doing this with me.
Man, thank you for having me.
first of all, everybody, right here, how did I get there at podbean.com? Johnny, as we mentioned
It's also
before,
on Spotify and everywhere else you do the things. So sorry,
right.
go ahead.
That is your podcast, and you just celebrated by having you just had your 1,000th episode, which is
Yeah.
quite a milestone, and I really, really appreciate that. Also,
Thank
make
you.
sure you check out Johnny's music. You got bandcamp.com. You've got Skyrocket the band. Let me put that up. We didn't talk very much at all, and I just want to mention very quickly, because we didn't get any questions on it, the austinmusicfoundation.org.
Yeah.
And austinmusicfoundation.bandcamp.org. Could you just do a quick little soundbite and talk about what you do there and what you're doing there? And
But mostly my role there is to be a mentor in the artist development program, which is a 6-month program where we find 5 to 7 artists and kind of put them through we see that they're about to take the next step in their career, find ways that we can help them. Also, we've put in through Frenchie Smith at the Bubble and Einar Peterson. Now we go and make an album where everybody cuts one song. But this year we did 2 songs because this year we only had 5 artists on it because we just didn't know really how this was all going to work, you know?
right.
And when we had planned to record, like we didn't know if things were going to be shut down or if people could, you know, go in and record and things. So we made a record and we have Drint, DZ Brown, Stone Wheels, Aubrey Hayes, and Pelvis Wrestling. And they all recorded 2 songs at the Bubble each. And we just put out the first 1 song from each artist, which would be the first EP. We just put it out last week. And you can get that at Austin Music Foundation at bandcamp.com. It's called Gen Next Adventures in Lockdown. And it's fantastic. And we're going to release the second half of it and hopefully have a show in March or April. If
Now,
that's a thing people do.
Yeah, if we're back to doing that, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Which hopefully we will. Just wear your goddamn mask.
Yeah.
I'm up here in BC, and it's just a different world. Everybody takes it very seriously, but we have a gal named Dr. Bonnie Henry, who's sort of our Anthony Fauci. And she comes out at 3 p.m. every day and says, this is what we're doing. And everybody, regardless of political party, just kind of goes, okay. It's very Canadian. And because of that, the death rate is tiny per capita in comparison. And so do it, please, please, please. Just take care of each other as much as you can. I want you all to see another New Year and another Christmas and another holiday season.
Dude, being down here in Galveston, some of the people here are very wild west about it, man.
Yeah, they just don't care, right?
No, like we've not been going to one of the grocery stores because it seems kind of freaky.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be careful too when you're out and about and stuff. So I really appreciate it. But I love being able to do the show. There's only one question that I ask my guests every week that is my question. And I think this is going to be a pretty easy question for you.
Okay.
It's hard for some of my guests. What is your guilty pleasure music?
Okay. I'm going to answer that by saying I don't believe in a guilty pleasure. And that also, when you're a guy with like a lot of the Partridge Family in your record collection and stuff like that.
Yeah, you should have just said Partridge Family. You should have. That's all you had to say. Because that's why you said it, though. That's why you said it, because it is a guilty pleasure. Okay, the reason it came about is because...
Is it weird to be like Dua Lipa, Harry Styles?
No.
Like, I listen to all that stuff, but some of our contemporaries... Yeah, I like pop. I love pop. Go ahead.
It's popular.
You were going to say something.
Well, the way it came about was somebody asked me about something, and I said, well, I'm secretly a Fanalo. And they said, really? You're a Fanalo? And I said, yeah, I don't really have a choice, because while my mother used to put on records while I was sleeping, and she would put on classical records, and she would put on Stevie Wonder, and she was really, really into like the White Album, and she was really, really into like this really, really incredible music, but she also played Manilow. And so I would choose just as much and think it was like, this is the same thing. Yeah. And so if I hear Can't Smile Without You, I get a warm, fuzzy feeling, regardless of any you know, this is entertainment or whatever. And I'd say feel the same way when I hear Copacabana, man. When I was a kid, you know, I'd like dance up on the bed. She wore a dress down to there, and you know, it was like it was a comfort food for me. It's like my It's like my carne asada. It's comfort food.
Yeah.
You know. And
have you?
I don't mind that.
Yeah, since you started playing piano at your house and sitting there, I know that there are evenings, I do too, is you just sit there and start like, how does this song go?
Totally.
So what Manilows have you been laying down there at the house?
Well, I haven't been able to put it together yet, but I really, like, one of the worst ones, like, it's kind of like it's kind of like I love it, but I also hate that I love it. Is Ready to Take a Chance Again.
That's my jam. Okay, sorry. I just almost freaked out. Okay, that's the one I play all the time.
It's insane. It's insane, that song.
Yeah, it's insane. And
it's crazy.
You know,
it goes through so many changes and so many different weird things. And you think of Goldie Hawn in that movie that was...
Foul Play.
Foul Play in the beginning of it with that giant... they didn't have drones
They're
back
driving
then,
down
scene. They're driving down the highway, and it's the beginning of the movie. And like, okay, I was like 4 when that came out or something, you know. And so it's like it's etched in there just as much as Stevie Wonder is, for better or for worse.
I was gonna do that for that Dudley and Bob 25th anniversary show because it's I think it's one of Dale's favorite songs in the world. And so I was gonna do it, but then everyone else was doing such cool songs that I didn't want to be the guy.
I can't be the guy who does Fanalo.
I didn't want to just come out and be Ready to Take a Chance again.
See, but it's like, and Bill Churchin was the only one besides you who said, "Yeah, I don't really have guilty pleasures. Like, I'm not guilty about liking these songs.
No,
it's just a term for something that like." You wouldn't necessarily, I should say, maybe you wouldn't expect that I listen to this. And because I always love that about musicians. People will say, oh, well, I like everything. I have very eclectic taste. And it's like, well, we kind of all do now. And that's great.
Yeah.
You know?
That's one thing that I've noticed about the whatever new generation that's grown up hearing music in a different way that we were exposed to it. There's no, like, I mean, when I was a kid, like, I loved Hall & Oates, but, like, if you told certain people at school that you loved Hall & Oates, they'd beat you up.
I mean, literally.
And now that's just kind of gone. Yeah, somebody would be like, oh, no, I'm so totally into Black Flag. I'm into the Carpenters. And it's like, whoa.
Did you watch it changing? I kind of watched it change while I was in high school, because in high school there was the real merger of like metal and rap, and so Anthrax was doing the thing with Public Enemy, and then, you know, not metal, but there was of course the early version of it with Run DMC and Aerosmith, and so it was really cool to like Tribe Called Quest. But if you listened to any Metallica that was Black Album and later, no, you're not cool.
Right.
That's when they went pop, you know. And but there was like all this thing of like everybody wanted to mix musical genres and it was hip, and it's like, well, that's all anybody ever did anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I missed that. I mean, I guess Walk This Way came in my last year of high school. The Run DMC Aerosmith Walk This Way. But the Anthrax Public Enemy stuff didn't come until later.
It didn't.
Which I really liked, for me.
I liked it too. I liked it.
Yeah, I loved Public Enemy.
Bring the Noise was
Bring
great.
the Noise.
Oh,
yeah.
Public Enemy was fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have fulfilled your contractual obligations for the day.
All right.
And I have very much enjoyed my conversation. And we have all these different ways for people to check you out.
Yeah, please do. Thank you so much for having me, Jeff. I love it. I wish I would have written Sleeping Dogs Lie. I let the Sleeping Dogs lie.
That song is first of all, that's a huge compliment. And I won't poo-poo on it. But
I don't know if
I heard you in my head when we were working on it, and I told Scrappy that.
That made me happy.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, when I heard that song, I was like, why don't I write more shit like this?
In what way?
It feels good. It had a good feel to it. Yeah. And the lyrics were great. And you're a great songwriter. You're an amazing singer, and just, you know, one of the great guitar players.
Thanks, man. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that, and I try really hard to not be the awkward cat, who can't take a compliment. And you heard me gush about you earlier, so I won't do
I
it
know.
again.
I know. I appreciate it.
It's
I
a
love you.
love
Thank you for having me
fest.
on. Yeah.
It's a love fest. You know what I like to say? I love being had.
Yeah.
I love being
I
had.
think my aunt made me some noodles.
Ooh,
I'm gonna go eat
sounds
'em.
nice. That sounds
Yeah.
nice. You're gonna go eat noodles. We're
I
gonna
made
go,
it. I didn't get busted at the house.
No, not yet. No, now you can really squat.
I'm gonna start running.
You're like, wait a second, I could just live here. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Next week I am going to have Mr. Gary Nicholson, Nashville
Oh, yeah.
songwriter from Fort Worth, written for everybody, blah blah blah. I mean, I can't even, the blah 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 means it's like 400 songs. Ringo
Jesus.
and Buddy Guy and Bonnie Raitt and Willie and but he's also really, really fun to just sit and chat to, so I look forward to it. Then after that, bring in the new year with Shiny Ribs.
Yeah.
So Kevin will be on after that, and I got a great month of January. So thanks for everybody for making this possible. It really warms my cold black heart.
Thank you guys for watching.
All right, take care everybody online, and I'll be on later tonight for the big Christmas show. See you at 8 p.m.
Oh,
Central.
yeah.
Johnny,
8 p.m.
hang on with me, okay, bud?
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.